Alright, what's up y'all, LakerFan here. As you can see by the title of today's video, you have the #1 meta shooting guard build in NBA 2K22 Next Gen for Comp Pro-Am. So, in today's video, you have the 6'3", it's listed as a point guard. You're going to be running this at the 2 if you have this build. Most likely, I would assume you have a smaller point guard lined up below you, and this build needs to be able to play solid defense. As a secondary ball handler, you need to be still elite when you have the ball in your hands because you do not want to be a liability. You don't want your point guard giving up the ball and putting it in your hands and then you end up not producing on the offensive end as well. It needs to be a very small step down offensively from your point guard. I don't think you can afford to have a truly full-out defensive shooting guard anymore in today's game of Pro-Am. I know I say that as if like so much changes from beginning of the year to end of year. But with how hard it is to guard these point guards, people will constantly send 2 players at your PG and he needs to put it in someone else's hands. And generally, it's going to be the slipping guy who's going down on the screen, the 7'3" center or 7'2" center, whatever you are, or even 7 foot for that matter, whatever you are. Or it's going to be the shooting guard's hands. And it's a direct read that has to be made between one of those 2 players. And same thing goes for press break. If they send 2 guys at your point guard in the press game, he has to give it up to probably the inbounder or the shooting guard. Simple as that. So, in today's video, we're going to be showcasing this 6'3". I hope you enjoy. If you do, to drop a like, sub if you're new, turn on noties, all that good stuff, and like always, try to 1 to 500 likes. So, as you can see, this is going to be the glitched metric 6'3" build. It has a 6'2" wingspan. This, in my opinion, is 100% the best shooting guard build. It's a solid trade-off of offense and defense. It leans more toward the offensive side. A few months ago, I've asked for having 6'5" at the wing, aka the 2, because I felt like your point guard can maybe just dominate the game a little bit more. You didn't have to put it in the secondary ball handler's hands quite as much, and you could get away with having something like that. And it allowed you to have your lockdown at the 2 with that 6'5". You could have your hedge guy at the 3 with the 6'9", and then you could run 2 7'3" centers or something like that. Or you could have an oversized power forward like a 7-footer instead of having a 6'9" metric or something like that. But nowadays, in today's game, if you ask me, I think you need to have a little bit more of an offensive 2, like I said, for many reasons that we've already listed, involving people sending a lot of heat and a lot of pressure at your PG, and you need to be a capable shooter, a capable ball handler when the ball ends up in your hands. And I don't think low 80s to mid 80s get the job done when it comes to three-pointer or ball handle ratings. So anyway, we're gonna get straight into this. 6'3", 165 on the weight, 6'2" wingspan. Again, I will showcase at the end of the video how to actually set up the metric with this build because it's really like 6'2.5", and then you can see the wingspan is listed at 6'2", even though the height is 6'3". That is a metric glitch. You can't get that on any normal build. It's not gonna let you go that low on the wingspan. And what the wingspan being lower allows you to do is you can get 97 three-pointer on this build, which is freaky. It's really crazy. You can still have 92 speed with ball. You really could have 93 if you wanted to, but it's 1 lower. But as you can see, again, Hall of Fame quick first step. You have 97 three-pointer for Hall of Fame hot zone hunter. The only thing you're missing is blinders and deadeye. That's literally it when it comes to shooting badges. And to still be this tall, that does go a long way. 74 driving dunk for the silver limitless takeoff and the quick drops off 1, the best animations you can get out of it. I think this is the best thing you can go for. If you do want to go for 65 driving dunk though, it's doable. It's definitely okay. But what comes with upgrading your driving dunk is vertical by default. Having 54 vertical is kind of necessary to at least have. I think 50 is definitely good and doable, because you're going to want to be able to get some sort of jump contest where you're going to have to jump at people if you're out of position and lunge at them for the contest instead of throwing your hands up or running at them or something like that and just hoping you get a ghost contest. So just keep that in mind. I think having decent vertical goes a long way. I do think having strength is pretty nice too if you plan to be involved a little bit more defensively. This build that I'm showcasing right here, it's more so meant to be the wing defender, aka you're putting them on their secondary ball handlers. And if they run wraps and stuff on you, aka they're going to send their shooting guard across the point guard's face and try and have a little bit of cross action where you and your lockdown have to switch because you're guarding the wing, and then they move that wing guy across the court. And with all that crossing action, it ends up sometimes where you do have to switch onto the ball handler. So just keep that in mind. I think strength does go a long way as an on-ball defender. I don't think you should upgrade your weight to be able to get more strength, but upgrading your strength to its max ability to just capitalize on the speed and stuff like that, I think it's definitely what makes sense. If you were planning to only go with 92 speed with ball and 92 speed like I have right here though, maybe you could go a little bit higher on the weight, but some people don't like to be bulky on their point guards. I think that makes sense. Also, what did I put? Yeah, okay, so slight body shape. This is as far as you can get as far as like being small or lanky or skinny, if you will. If you go with anything else, obviously it's going to change the way that you look. Ironically though, if you're 165 pounds, all you actually can be is slight. If you change it or anything like that, it's not going to go anywhere. If you go up to like 167, then you can unlock all these different body shapes. And if you go back down, actually, ironically, if it's solid, I can't even move this weight down. You can hear me clicking the controller. If I go down to slight again, I can move it back to 165. It's really interesting how that all works, but again, just keep in mind, with the way that we have this build created, I think 165 is plenty fine. The perimeter defense, we don't really care if it goes that low, but as you can see, the speed does max out at 95, so if you wanted to do that instead of 93 or 92, you definitely could do so. And again, keep in mind, my speed with ball is down to 92, even though it can be 93 as well. So just keep all that in mind. I mean, this build is hard to balance because there's so many things you have to be good at as a shooting guard. But anyway, back to the build. Now, one thing that stands out to be a little bit low on this build, in my opinion, is going to be mid-range. So mid-range is a little bit important when it comes to comp pro-am, whether it be for mid-range fades, mid-range quick stops, anything like that. If people are D'ing up on your three-pointer really hard, it is kind of difficult sometimes to only score by 3 or to not deal with having to take your mid-ranges if people are D'ing up on your three-pointer super hard. So you can't just live and die by the dunk and three-pointer for the most part. If you did want to, you low-key could drop your three-point rating down to 95. This is where you get stop and pop on Hall of Fame. You low-key don't even need that either. I think 94 or 93 is a nice little threshold to reach. So you can see for 93, you get limitless spot up on Hall of Fame. Once again, you really don't even need that, to be completely honest with you. The level that you 100% do want, though, in my opinion, is probably going to be 92. You get catch and shoot on Hall of Fame, and then at 91, you get circus threes on Hall of Fame as well. So it definitely makes sense to just try and rock out with at least 91 or 92. But for this build right here, I think going all into 97 is a really good extension of your point guard. However, the problem with it is your mid-range suffers because it's so hard to balance everything with this build, and you can't invest so much into shooting. So if you did want to, you 100% could maybe drop it down to like 95 or something like that, and you could go ahead and put the rest into mid-range up to 89, I believe. We could drop the free throw, just an example. I mean, we'll put the free throw back up eventually, but as you can see, 89 mid would get you an extra badge point. It also just allows you to be more comfortable in that mid-range and have the ability to do so. So if you want to do that, we'll go ahead and revise the build real quick. You could probably afford to drop your pass accuracy by 1. You do lose an extra playmaking badge and the ability to run gold bailout, but I don't know who really runs that high anyway. And the 1 extra badge does go kind of a long way, I do understand, but as you can see, the mid-range is maybe more doable, and you feel a whole lot more comfortable taking those mids, taking those fadeaway mids especially too, and even just the quick stops in general. Mid-range can be kind of hard to shoot sometimes in this game, especially from my point of view of trying it myself and just from watching my guards do it as well. So it's all up to you whether you want to balance that mid-range with three-point rating or not, or if you want to go super high into the three-pointer, however, you only use maybe 82 mid-range. Or if you want to drop other places, you could drop the driving dunk down to 65, go ahead and drop your vertical with it down to 45 as well. And then with that, you now have only bronze limitless takeoff, but you still get the quick drops off 1. And then you could maybe put the extra into three-pointer again, and there you are with a perfect like best of both worlds situation. And then maybe you could put the rest into speed, acceleration, and stamina back, and then extra free throw. So it's totally up to you, whatever you want to do with it. I think this is kind of valid. It's all up to personal preference. If you don't like to dunk quite as much and you do like to work that mid-range game, and then you want to be a reliable three-point threat that really can dominate in that sense, then I think this is a good look for you. If you want to maybe just live and die by the 3 in the dunk, I think dropping the mid-range back down to 82 and going with 74 driving dunk is elite as well. Or like I said, if you want to just go ahead and drop the three-pointer down to 95, you can definitely get that dunk back, and then you can have a nice little balance of all 3. So totally up to you. I'm just going to leave that to you guys to decide. I don't think any of the changes that you make are going to change your takeovers. It's always going to be shot, sharp, and play. Simple as that. So let's talk about takeover on shooting guards. Now, for point guards, I have suggested to run something like this, where you run team takeover boost as your primary and then limitless range as your secondary, and it's going to go crazy. Like, you as the point guard, mind you, we're talking about a shooting guard build right here, but I'm speaking from the perspective of point guards. You as a PG are going to be helping your team tremendously by running something like this, and you're going to be helping your shooting guard get takeover, your locks get takeover, your center especially is going to be getting like team takeover consistently as well. Now, if you wanted to be an extension of that as a shooting guard as well and do the exact same thing, then here's what you could do. If your point guard has team takeover boost activated, what you actually could do is involve the shooting guard even more. And then when you, the shooting guard, now have your takeover because your point guard just had it as well, now you're helping your point guard get takeover back. It could just be an endless cycle of your guards helping each other, and then in the process of doing so, with your point guard having team takeover boost and your shooting guard having team takeover boost at different times, now your center is probably going crazy on his takeover as well. So it's totally up to you. If you want to go by just what the meta is though, I think it's gonna be something like this, where you just run pull-up precision and limitless range. It's gonna be as simple as that, especially if you have that high mid-range. You're gonna get a lot of takeover for those fadeaway mids, and just in general, I think a lot of shooting guards are doing a lot of fading out here, and that's why your three-pointer rating being so high is very convenient as well. So overall, I think that's a good look as far as being meta, but like I said, I gave you my input. If you want to be different, if you want to be interesting with it, totally up to you. But now let's talk about the badge counts real quick and what you want to put your badges into. I failed to do so when talking about the lockdown, so I want to make sure I'm getting to this point in every video that I do, and then we'll talk about how to create the build. So this is going to be a little bit different because obviously I have different loadouts of this. I don't just have a set in stone way that I think you should run shooting guard. So we'll just keep that in mind. Obviously, if you have your dunk rating higher, limitless takeoff is the #1 priority. If you have it on the ability to get silver, it makes a total amount of sense to run it on silver. It's literally just as simple as that. But if you are rocking out the 65 driving dunk, you're going to want limitless takeoff, slither finisher. And then after that, honestly, it's kind of hard to find use for some of these extra finishing badges. Probably like fast twitch and bronze unstrippable, simple as that. Now, if you do go with the 74 driving dunk, you're going to have silver slithery finisher. That's a very big tongue twister right there. And then you're also going to have silver limitless takeoff as well. So that's going to add up. It's going to be 6 finishing badges on its own. Now, if you do go with the 74 driving dunk loadout, I think it's going to be around 8 finishing badges. So in which case, you could literally just run both these on silver, run posterizer on bronze, and then something like lob city finisher or unstrippable on bronze, or fast twitch for that matter. But anyway, moving along to the shooting loadouts. This is going to be, it's a little bit complicated for shooting guards sometimes, but I think what you want to do as a shooting guard is budget things properly. It would be nice to have Hall of Fame catch and shoot. If you have a lot of extra shooting badges you can put on the build, and if you are running what I have right here of 89 mid and 97 three-pointer, it will go a long way. I mean, 36 shooting badges sounds really nice, but when you add them all up, it's going to be things like 5 for Hall of Fame catch and shoot, 4 for blinders, like all 3 for Deadeye. That actually is pretty convenient that the three-pointer makes it so cheap though. I think low-key, yeah, so this is another thing to take note of as well. So if you have, let's say, 96 three-pointer, it makes Deadeye cost 4 instead of 3. Whereas if you go up 1 on the three-pointer, now it's making Deadeye 3 instead of 4. Now, this is not going to be the case for every single badge that you look at, but however, let's say Sniper, for instance, if you go down to 93 pointer, and this also deals with your mid-range rating as well, so just keep that in mind. Like, if I put my mid-range up, then boom, it makes Sniper cheaper. So just keep in mind, it's all a balance between these two ratings for some of these. The reason that Deadeye, however, doesn't work like that is because it's only tied to 3-point rating. So if you have your Deadeye super high, that's why the gold only costs 3 if you have it all the way up to 97, whereas if you have it 96, then it costs 4. But anyway, again, things like Sniper, it all plays a factor in that. As another example, going from 94 three-pointer to 95 will make Circus 3s 1 point cheaper for every level of the badge between Gold and Hall of Fame. It also, if you go to 97, is going to make Stop and Pop cheaper at both levels for Gold and Hall of Fame as well. So just keep in mind, I think 97 three-pointer is really, really nice. It's going to make you be able to run so many more of these badges, and even if you are in an area where you have to budget and maybe only run like gold Circus 3s and gold Stop and Pop, just keep in mind 97 three-pointers making it even easier for you to run them on gold. It makes them cheaper. It's literally just as simple as that. So just keep in mind, you're not wasting your ratings even if you aren't going to end up putting the badges on Hall of Fame. But again, I mean, add them all up. You got things like catch and shoot, blinders, Deadeye, mismatch expert, maybe even some lucky 7 because you're going to be out on the fast breaks as well. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Again, Circus 3s, hot zone hunter, sniper. I mean, the list goes on and on with this stuff. Even maybe some limitless spot up as well because you're going to be playing the shooting guard position. Sometimes you have to be backed up like really, really far. So just keep that all in mind. I mean, I would put a lot of your extra badge points on shooting as well. I think you have a very, very suitable amount for playmaking. You're probably going to be running things like gold on handles for days, gold hyperdrive. As you can see, I dropped the ball handle rating down from 93 to 92. I don't think you really need to have hyperdrive on Hall of Fame anyway, to be honest with you. I think the only must-have Hall of Fame badge right here is going to be quick first step. Other than that, you could probably afford to run most of these on gold. After that, though, the next tier is probably going to be like handles for days, quick chain, and tight handles. After quick first step, you're going to want those 3 badges to be the focal points. But if you can't afford to have them on Hall of Fame, I don't think it's the end of the world. I think gold is still plenty good on most of them. Tight handles is one that is pretty cheese, but I'm starting to hear amongst the Pro-Am community, and my guards particularly, that they think ball handle rating also plays a big factor in how often you get people tight handled. Not only the badge level, but also your ball handle rating. So it's a myth at this point, but it's a possibility. But anyway, I don't think you really have need for running things like ankle breaker. It's probably like bronze bailout, gold bullet passer, maybe some bronze dimer would be cool, but you probably don't even need that either. At least gold on quick chain, hyperdrive, handles for days, all types of stuff like that, and then probably gold tight handles, Hall of Fame quick first step, and gold unpluckable. If you need a couple more extra playmaking badges to get that, then so be it. I guess that is what it is, but you definitely want the majority of your extra badges to be on shooting. Now, if you plan to be more of a perimeter defender though, this is where you may want to implement a couple more defensive badges, because we have things like 76 perimeter defense for silver clamps and silver ankle braces. We have 90 steal rating as well for Hall of Fame interceptor and just meeting that threshold. But as you can see, these add up pretty quickly. We have Hall of Fame interceptor, that's 6 on its own. You have silver ankle braces, that's already 9 out of your 16 defensive badges. Silver clamps is going to be 12, and then from that point you maybe mix in like hopefully silver pick dodger and bronze menace, but then you have no hustler, so you probably have to rock out with just bronze pick dodger, bronze menace, and then like silver hustler or something like that. No pickpocket, no D leader, no tireless defender. Off-ball pest, it's not going to be nice to have that without anything either, so it's going to be tough. You're going to want to probably use your extra badge points sparingly in areas that you need to fill in. The only one I would definitely not recommend putting extra badge points on is going to be finishing. You don't need anything like putback boss or unstrippable higher, so that's kind of self-explanatory. And again, it's up to you to gauge what style of player you are and if you need more playmaking, more shooting, or more defense. Anyway, the physicals, plenty good. 93 speed, 92 acceleration with 45 vertical, which isn't great, but again, it's solid. It's definitely not 25, I'll tell you that much. Like, having at least a little bit of vertical definitely helps you with those jump contests, and this is plenty, like, comfortable. I would definitely recommend a more like 50, but if this is what works for you when you have that 65 driving dunk, I think it's perfectly fine. Alright, so now I'm going to show you guys step by step how you create this actual build, because again, this is just display. It's not what you would actually get if you made your build 6'3", 165, and for that matter, you can't even make it with the 6'2" wingspan, so just keep that in mind. So we're going to go back out all the way to the menu. You have to start in the metric system first. So you're going to come out to the features, then the settings. You're going to come down to this using units of measurement. You're going to switch it to the metric system. So now you're going to come in and create the build. You're going to start in a new save file. Again, I'm going to do these like step for step all the way that we do this. So just keep that in mind. Anyway, you're going to go to a new save file. Go ahead and start that up. You're going to start in the metric and you're going to just create a point guard, whatever handness, whatever jersey number, it really doesn't matter. You're going to change your height to 1.77. So go all the way down there. I think you have to be quick with this as well, so just keep that in mind. Now, lower your weight all the way down to minimum. You're going to go ahead and change your body shape to slight, and what it's going to allow you to do is drop your weight even more by that 1 kg, which is important. 100% is important. So now you're going to go ahead and just minimize the wingspan now, and it's going to be 1.75. So this is how we've created the process of getting that wingspan glitch right here, where you have a smaller wingspan than you do height. So now you're going to have to just finalize the build real quick. You're going to just max out whatever you want on this. It doesn't matter right here. So again, just keep that in mind. You just upgrade anything to get it to 99 overall, put any takeover on it as well, and just finish the build. So now you're going to hit edit build. You're going to go back to the menu real quick and switch back to the Imperial system. It's very simple from this point forward. All you have to do is go out to the menu, features, settings, once again, come down to the metric system or the units of measurement, switch to Imperial, and now you are just changing the build to be read as 6'3". Simple as that. So go ahead and find your save. We saved it as number 22 right here, so it's a 5'10" point guard, 145 on the weight. So again, all you have to do now is go ahead and switch your height to 6'3", and it's literally as simple as that. And the wingspan stays at 6'2", the weight 165, and here you are. The exact way to set it up. So hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like, sub if you're new, turn on the noties, all that good stuff. And like always, try this one to 500 likes. If you made it to the end of the video, put 6'3" or 6'2" in the comments. Show your support you made all the way through. So if you did make it to the end of the video and you enjoyed this one, if you want to check out more of the Pro-Am meta builds as far as the tutorials on how to create them and what they are and the suggested badge loadout and stuff like that, I have every single video uploaded so far over the last couple of days, except for the power forward one. That one will be tomorrow. We're trying to drop these in bulk right here because I think you guys are kind of appreciating this a little bit. I don't know if it's a huge fan favorite, but I know there's people out there that do appreciate me uploading stuff like this and giving the suggestions out there as far as builds go. So anyway, feel free to check out the point guard, the lockdown, the big man and stuff like that. Those are the 3 that we've dropped so far. And if you want to check out the power forward one tomorrow, just feel free to subscribe, turn on noties, whatever you want. But anyway, that's all for the video. Hope you all enjoyed. And that, take it easy, man. Peace.